Roborock S7 MaxV hits stores April 8th, which is 2 days from the filming of this video. With that in mind, it's time to ask the big question: which of these three should you buy? Now, I've included the Dreame W10 because it is the best of this style of mopping and vacuuming robot. Of course, here we have the Roborock S7 MaxV Ultra and the Ecovacs X1 OMNI. So let's get the obvious out of the way. If you want to save money, this is a perfect alternative. This retails for $1,080. You can get it for $900 with the usual coupons. This is going to retail for $13.99, and they're going to have a coupon at launch, making it around $1,300. This one is $1,500, and they're also going to have a coupon, or they actually have one or had one when I bought this, so I got it for $13.50, and you shouldn't pay more than that for it. So these two are approximately the same price, and this one will save you over $400. So what are the advantages of this one over these? Well, believe it or not, besides price, it actually does have some. For example, first, its mop cleaning system is a little bit more robust than the Roborock. And it's the same as the Ecovacs. Now I'll explain why. The only moving parts in this entire base are the water pumps. The mop pads with this robot spin against those agitators, and that's what cleans the brushes. So during the cleaning process, other than the water pumps, the only moving parts are in the robot itself. The same is true here. This is a more delicate system. Now, as you can see here, I've had this for a couple of months now, I think, and I've used it very often. I clean this often. It gets dirty often. This is the water strainer. Hair and stuff gets tangled here, so this requires more maintenance than this. This does require some maintenance. You pull it out, and we're using these tabs here and a similar system here, and you clean it, but you have to do that a lot less often in my experience than this. However, this is a more effective cleaning system. This brush is very, very good at its job. It gets everything out of that mop pad. I haven't seen, for example, this mop pad is the original. I've had this for, like I said, about 2 months. It's clean. I see no reason to even throw this in the wash. Other than that, because this does not empty its own dustbin and you have to do it manually, there really isn't much of an advantage. Additionally, this uses a lot of water. So if you'll notice, this water tank is huge compared to this one. But this robot is more efficient with its use of water, as is this one. Now, both of these robots carry onboard water, and this one does not. It saturates its pads while cleaning and then goes out and cleans the floor, and when the pads start running dry, which you can control in the app, it goes back to the dock. These don't need to go back to the dock for water because they carry it on board. The docking stations refill the water tanks through this orifice and this one. Now, this one has two major advantages in that regard over this. The first is that it carries a lot more water. The second is that its water tank is removable and user serviceable, by which I mean you can clean this, you can rinse it out with some, maybe water mixed with bleach to avoid mildew. This one, you can't. So if anything happens inside that tank, this has to go back to Ecovacs, whereas this, even if this completely breaks, you can just get a new one and replace it. So that's a big plus for the Roborock. As far as effectiveness of how these systems work, the fact that this doesn't carry onboard water is one of the big reasons why it is so inefficient with its use of water. What that means for you in practical terms is that you'll have to dump the dirty water and fill the clean water tank more often than you would on these. And if you don't set the app right, this will run around, dry scrubbing your floor. Other than that, all of these systems work. These obviously work better. This is the best one. But again, $900, $1,300, $1,350. So you have to consider that. This robot is extremely reliable. I've never had any problems with it. It's never failed to complete its cleaning runs. Well, when I first got it, actually, that's not true. It had some firmware issues that made it act wonky. Dreame Tech addressed that, and since then, it's been flawless. You wake up every morning, you know it's done its job, you don't even have to check. It's not true of every robot. Actually, most robots that I test, you do have to check because they often fail to do their cleaning job. This is also a super reliable robot. This has never failed to do its cleaning job. It's so reliable, it's boring. This one I've only had for a couple of weeks, so I can't really say one way or the other. Long-term testing will tell, but again, these two, super reliable. So what are the downsides of this? Well, as I mentioned, less efficient water usage and the fact that you have to empty the dustbin yourself every time. Well, maybe not every time it cleans, depending on how dirty your home is, but if you have pets and, you know, kids and all that kind of stuff, then perhaps you'll have to empty it every day. It has no object avoidance system, which is the big one. So if you have pets that poop on the floor, or you leave a lot of cords lying around, or socks and stuff, then this is going to have issues because it's going to roll right over them. Now, let's talk about the difference between these two. So first, they both have camera and laser sensors in the front. That's going to make for perfect object avoidance system eventually with firmware updates. Initially, right now, it's not absolutely perfect, but these companies do update the object avoidance because remember, these guys make the T8 AIVI, and these guys made the S7 MaxV, which initially did poorly in my fake rubber dog poop avoidance tests, but then a software update made it pretty much perfect at avoiding pet waste. So I expect the same from this and probably from this. As of right now, they both work well, but not as well as, say, the Roomba J7. Now, this, again, has smaller water tanks in this, and this is also very efficient at its use of water. So in practice, again, I've only had the Ecovacs for 2 weeks, but they're about the same in terms of how often you have to change the water tanks. I can't really say that with much certainty because they clean in different ways, which we'll talk about now. So the big advantage of the Roborock is this mopping pad, because this can move up and down. So if you have carpet in your house, or even rugs, this thing can vacuum them by lifting its mop and then not getting them wet. This has the same kind of mopping pads as that, and it can't raise them. So if you have carpet or a rug, you have to physically take those off in order for it to go on the rug or carpet. Same thing with this one. They'll both avoid the rug or carpet, but they will not clean it unless you take those off. This will clean everything, so that's a big advantage for this. An advantage of the Ecovacs is that it looks neater. This is kind of a techie look, which some people like. I like it a lot. Some people, some of my viewers have commented that they don't like this. It's an eyesore. You know, this is more of a appliance looking thing, as is this, and this is more modern and well, stainless steel looking, so it'll match your fancy kitchen if you have one of those. And that matters to some people because these things are big and they're going to stand out. You can't like hide them in a nook or under a table or something, especially this one. This is huge. This is by far the biggest bin. Now, the way this works is, I forget, the bag is in here, so that comes out. The water tanks are in here, just like on the Dreame. And of course, this one's obvious. Here are the water tanks, and here is the dust bag. The old pinching thing. If you pinch this bag, it won't get a seal when it empties. So that's another little trivial inconvenience. Now, owners of the older Ecovacs self-empty dock will be glad to know that this has one extraction port, which means that this does work very well with dog hair. I've had this thing running for a couple of weeks without touching the dustbin, and it empties itself out very, very well through that port. Likewise, the Roborock self-empty system is excellent and can handle all the dog hair that a lot of my previous self-empty docks had problems dealing with. So this one, the Dreame Z10 Pro, and the Roomba dustbin are the only ones that have been able to keep up with all of the pet hair that I have in my house. Okay, so moving on. As far as hair tangles go, actually, this lid thing that just comes off is, I mean, it's a cool idea, but it's a a little bit annoying. Now all of these have not been cleaned since they did their job. So this one stores its hair in the inside the brush and the axles like the Roomba. So what that does is it makes it so it doesn't interfere with cleaning at all. It's a very handy feature. This one kind of winds around the, if it's long human hair, it winds around the brush, but not a lot of it does. So it's very good at maintaining its cleaning performance over long periods of time. Every now and then with all of these, you have to take these brushes out and remove the hair. This is somewhere in between. It's pretty good at avoiding fur. Actually, it's very good at avoiding fur clumps, just like all these are. And about the same as this, maybe a little bit worse as far as human hair. But none of them are particularly prone to hair tangles. And this is the only unit with 2 side brushes, and that does help its cleaning performance a little bit. Also, one slight disadvantage of the Roborock is because this is a rubber brush and this is a rubber side brush, it's not as good at picking up fine, very fine debris, like for example flour. It's one of the best hard floor cleaners I've tested, but it did leave a little bit of flour behind. So we're going to talk about the disadvantage of the Roborock over these systems. Now, because these spinning brushes make full contact with the floor and they're wet, the entire thing is wet, and the entire thing spins, this is the cleaning path from here to here. Likewise, this is the cleaning path from here to here. Okay, now here, the center of the pad is what vibrates and goes back and forth. The edges don't really do very much. So because of that, while mopping performance is about the same in all 3 of these, this one has to take tighter turns in order to mop as effectively. So this will be slower. Now, if you're running it on a schedule, this doesn't matter. But because you're sleeping, what do you care if it takes a little bit longer? But if you are one of these people that likes to manually set these robots in motion and you like to watch them clean, this is going to take longer. This has an issue with water right now, meaning it doesn't put down as much water as it should. Ecovacs is aware of the problem, and they're replacing the mopping plates rather, because these pads, it's one cool thing about this. These come off. So these are going to be a lot cheaper. You have to replace the entire thing in order to clean them or change them. So as I was saying, a lot of users have complained about inadequate water flow. I've noticed it. They're aware of the issue. They're fixing it. If you have one of these with the older plates, contact them. They'll send you the new plates free of charge. Once that's addressed, again, mopping performance should be the same, except for the fact that this one will take a little bit longer. Another advantage of the Ecovacs is that it has a built-in voice assistant called Yiko. So in order to get it to do something like clean a specific room, you just say, "Okay, Yiko, clean the bathroom." Now, the only problem with that is that if you have Google Home, saying "Okay, Yiko" sometimes triggers Google. It doesn't happen very often, but when it does, it's very annoying. Because if you have other vacuums connected to it, like I do, it'll send 5 vacuums to do the same thing. But other than that, having its own built-in voice assistant is very good because Ecovacs has more control over that than, for example, Roborock has over Google or Alexa. This, of course, has no... actually, this does have Google and Alexa integration, but it's not as powerful, meaning it's, at least so far, it's not to the point where you could say, go clean a specific room or this. You could start it, stop it. That's about all I've been able to do, although I haven't tested it in the last few weeks, so maybe they've updated it. I don't know. I don't think so. Okay, so this has full Google and Alexa integration, so you could send it to the same, to clean specific rooms, you could return it to the dock, all those things. Same thing as this, but again, this is a better system in a way because they have more control over it, so they'll be able to add, more specific commands and so on and so forth. Now, this also has, Google and Alexa integration, so at least I believe it does because all their previous product did. I haven't actually tested it because I haven't needed to because of Yiko. So if I'm mistaken, correct me in the comments and I'll keep that in mind for future videos. But there's no reason to believe that it wouldn't have full Google and Alexa integration. So you have those 2 options. And of course, you could turn Yiko off. Now, both of these have 2-way video conferencing, which is a big step up from the previous generation, which could only, look at the other person and send voice messages, but couldn't hear anything the other person said. So If you're not home, you can send these out, check on your pets, your kids, your spouse, your roommate, whoever you live with, talk to them. It's kind of like having a little, robot avatar that you can move around the house, and it's almost like you're there. It's kind of cool. Both of these do this really well. Another thing to note is that in the previous generation robot, the T8 AIVI and the S6 MaxV, the Roborock was the only one that was able to, have you look through the camera as the robot was cleaning. With this one, accessing the video features was like a separate part of the app, but they've since fixed that. There's now a video icon in the cleaning portion of the app, and you can watch this robot clean. So that's good on them. These both also have 3D map features where you could, place furniture and have it, I guess, look at your house in 3D. This one has matrix mapping, which lets you make a video of your house, and then it'll put that in the map. These are kind of gimmicks. They don't make the robot clean better. They don't, make it do anything that it wouldn't otherwise do, although you can say, like, clean around the couch with at least Eco. But again, it's not... It's fun. So if you like that kind of stuff, if you're a techie person, you like messing around, they both have these features. As far as I know, the Ecovacs does not have the matrix feature where you video your house and overlay it onto the map. This one does. But they're very, very similar in terms of what they can do. The biggest difference is the lifting mop pad on the S7 MaxV Ultra. That's, to me, is the huge advantage over this. Because if you're buying a robot like this, if you're paying $1,400, $1,500, $1,300, whatever, it's because you want a robot that can do everything. You want a robot that will clean on a schedule, and you don't have to do anything to it except occasionally, maybe replace the bag, change the water, dump the water, add clean water, and every once in a while, clean the mop pad cleaning thing, the water filter, and all that. But on a day-to-day basis, you don't want to do anything. And if you have carpet, you're going to have to manually remove the mopping pads on this. Now, if you don't have carpet, it's a tough choice. I guess it comes down to what you prefer, visually, the app experience, the track record of both companies, which is something that you should consider, as far as, their previous products. It's a tough call. As far as which one I would choose, it would definitely be the Roborock, if I could only have one, because... So, on my floor up here, I don't have any carpet, but I have this. That's the only carpeting I have up here on the main floor. And this vacuums it, all right, on a nightly schedule. This can't, unless I take off those pads, but then it can't mop. So, it all depends really on how your house is configured. There are advantages and disadvantages to each one. On a budget, boom. Otherwise, it's not so easy. Both are great products. Both are new, so don't expect, smooth, perfect, out-of-the-box performance from either of them, because that's not how new products work, especially something this advanced. These are the most advanced robot vacuums on the market. They're the most advanced robot vacuums that have ever been on the market by far. I mean, obviously, every new type of technology is the most advanced on the market, but these two are such leaps and bounds ahead of everything else. It's just ridiculous. And by getting these, you're in essence becoming an early adopter, and you can't expect perfect performance from either of them. But they're both fantastic machines, incredible. I grew up in the 80s, so I'm kind of old, and this is like, the future we were promised in the Jetsons. This is a almost fully autonomous house cleaning machine, both of these, and it's just incredible. I think the next step for these robots will be connecting them to a water supply and drain lines, like a washing machine, so that you don't even have to change the water. So Ecovacs, Roborock, get on that. But until then, this is about as much as you could hope for in a robot vacuum. It doesn't really get any better than this. This is pretty close. Much less expensive, pretty close. Not quite the same in terms of technology, but a really, really good robot, really good value. Okay, so which one do you buy? Well, that's up to you. My job is to give you all the information so that you could make a good decision for your specific needs. Before I go, I'd like to ask a favor from my viewers. Smart Robot Reviews is an excellent robot vacuum review channel. She makes wonderful videos, actually a lot better and more professional looking than mine. And she is from Ukraine. She had to leave her home because of the invasion, and I don't know when she'll be able to get back and start making videos again. Obviously, her life is in disarray, and the income that she generates from that channel is going to be a big help. So if you could please subscribe to her channel, watch her videos, it would help her tremendously. I'm going to put a link to her channel in the description. So if you want to help the people of Ukraine, that's a great way to do it and support our community. So thank you. Until next time, I'm Mike, and this is Mr. Rumbato.